We're going to talk about the professional services contracts, specifically in Mexico. Now, we're going to talk about the main obligations and rights of professional practices in Mexico. In here we have the political constitution of the United States of Mexico and the federal civil code. I'm going to talk more thoroughly of the federal civil code, the articles 2606 to the 2615. And here they establish regulations and rights that these have. They say that if there is no previous agreement, the honoraries that a person that asks for a service has to pay are regulated by plus customs, professional reputation, and the importance of the given service. They also talk about, they say that the penalties, if there exist penalties for a person that exerts some service without the corresponding title and certification. To obtain the title of certification, I'm going to talk about them later and how to obtain them. Then they say that there are payments of extra expenses. And if there is no previous agreement mentioning the refund of those expenses, the payment will be based on the next article. In the next article, that is 2610, it states that the payment of honoraries and expenses have to be on the place of residence of the one that presented the service, and they have to be immediately after the service that the professor provided is completed. Next, it states that if there are many people on a business that entrusted a service, then all of the people that are in this business are responsible on the honoraries and advancement payments of the professor. Now, if there are many professors that are providing a service of the same science, that are providing a service to a business, they can and should charge individually for the service that each one of the professors provided. And unless there is an agreement that says otherwise, professors have the right to demand their honoraries no matter the success of the project. And well, in case of not being able to provide the service anymore, the professor needs to warn opportunely in advance, and in case they didn't warn in advance, they need to satisfy the damages and harms they may have caused. Finally, if the person providing the person providing the service is only responsible to the people that ask for and is paying for this service, and in the case of negligence. Now, we're going to talk about on Article 5 of the Constitution. It talks about the rights of profession of their choosing job or area. Now, in the Article 5, there are some there is a regulatory law. I'm going to talk about the regulatory law of Article 5, specifically on Mexico City. This says, in the article is the establishing of an homogeneous regulation. It's a title document that validates the study of a profession made either on a state institution or private institution. They also are responsible of any person. They say that any person that has completed their studies can obtain a professional identification card. In Mexico, it is called Cédula Profesional. And for every specialty, the respective branch determines the requirements that they need to obtain the title, and for professing services, every person needs the authorization of each branch. In the case of conflict of interest between professionals and the society, the law is always working in favor of the society. Any professional title that is expanded on other countries has to be validated by the Public Education Secretary, by the initials in Spanish, it's CEP. And that there is also a general directory of professions that they study and examine technical commissions of the respective areas, and they establish regulations on the social services. For Mexico City, they say that any person needs these requirements, the following requirements, to exercise the profession. And they need to be fully exercising their civil rights. They need to have a title that is legally registered, and they need to have in possession an exercise patent form of the General Directory of Professions. There's also a specific case for agriculture that they need to have the permissions of the commission, and they need to follow the federal law. Also, in the case of interns, they have the right to exercise their profession for a maximum of 3 years before obtaining after that they need to have their title and certification. Now, if there is a case of inconformity, it will be analyzed by a profession jury, and they will analyze the time that was dedicated for the project, if they fulfill with the indicated measurements and regulations, if they had the correct procedures, instruments, and materials. So if they complied with the security measurements and procedures, and if their instruments were in correct state for working. And in the case of the judgment being against the professionist, this professionist will not be able to charge honoraries and will actually have to pay an indemnity to the client. It also states, well, in the next point, it also states that there is a confidentiality between the client and the professionist, with the exception of the documents that are required by the law. Now, there is also an establishment of professionist college, the colleges of professionists, and they are in charge of vigilance, help public administration, to help the public administration, to respond to tariffs, to help on establishing study plans, the basic of the study plans, and to establish and apply sanctions for the professions. The final point that we're going to talk about is that they state that the social services a professionist or a student that is trying to become a professionist has to be related to the area of studies. And well, that's it for the regulations. This is a quick summary. Thank you very much.